Hi, I'm so pleased to be joined with Dr. Heidi Scott today. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. She is the Chief Learning Officer at HR.com, and I'm proud to say we've got a lot of things in the works together, and I've been inspired by the work that she's doing, and we're going to talk about a number of those things today. But I don't think I can give you the introduction that you deserve. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you're involved with at HR.com?
Sure. My background, actually, I started out as a middle school teacher of all things. So if you can handle middle schoolers, you can handle corporate training, right? Anyway, have done a number of things, but primarily have from day one always focused on how do we make learning enjoyable? How do we make it stick? And so in my role at HR.com, I lead a team of instructional designers, and we're always developing strategies, processes, and refining methodologies as our world is changing and the needs around us shift, remaining agile, not reactive, but more proactive in having some foresight for what's coming, looking at the trending data to inform decisions that we make when it comes to developing new training and certifications, courses, from where micro lessons to a full-blown 3-month certification. So quite an array. Mm-hmm. And then also we bring into our learning ecosystem quality learning content from other providers. So HR.com, we have 1.75 million members of HR professionals who belong to HR.com. And they come to us for a variety of reasons, from wanting to know, as I mentioned, what does the research say? We have a research department that has completed 85 primary research projects, and that the benchmark data on best practices and what's to come is really informative across all functional areas of human resources. We also have e-publications across those same domains that really inform and teach and provide insights. And we also do webcasts. I don't know, hundreds of them, mm-hmm. I mean, truly hundreds of them each year. And the quality of those are significant. And they also provide folks a chance for recertification hours, whether they attend it live or archived webcast sessions. So, research, EPUBs, webcasts, really looking at being that one-stop shop. We've had, but in light of coronavirus, kind of interesting, our virtual events platform, it's like that's a mouthful, virtual events platform. How do we take a conference that was scheduled to be happening that isn't because of COVID-19? And those are moving online. We have a number of entities contacting us saying, help us do this, because that's another facet of what we are doing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, very, very fun. That's a little bit about my background and what I do currently with HR.com and who is HR.com.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that first brought me to HR.com was a lot of the primary research that your team does. And I think there are, for L&D professionals who are wondering, what are other people like me doing? What are they having success with? And even, what sort of tools are they looking for? What have they adopted? What have they not adopted? The material that you share, I think, is fantastic, and it is rich. And it's been fun to partner and kind of ask those questions, because the data is insightful. And, there are a lot of folks who are kind of one-person shops, and they're tasked with picking the tools, designing the training, delivering it, scheduling it, and they don't have anybody to ask. And right. So all of these resources that give good insights into what are other people who are loan providers like me doing, what are other bigger teams looking for and striving for, is valuable data that lots of us need.
Well, and people are busy, Christopher. Mm-hmm. I mean, we everyone who's not busy, if you love to read, you can read the whole research report, which is truly insightful. If you're like, I just need, just give it to me quick, we actually have each research findings create it into an infographic. So
Yep.
if you're that's all I need. Just need where are we headed? What's the trending data say? How does that inform me? And off you go. So we really try to accommodate all learners and folks who are, like as you said, maybe part of a larger team, or they are the team.
Mm-hmm.
So a variety, just knowing that there are such differing needs out there helps us try to deliver meaningful, relevant content that's timely and effective for everybody.
Yeah. So one of the things that I thought we might talk about here today a little bit is coaching, and we've conversed a lot about this topic in the past. But one of the reasons why it came top to mind is you had recently shared your digital credential on becoming a certified coach, and I know that that's been a long part of your history. And I know you've also been an advocate for coaching as being a mechanism to foster lasting behavior change.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about how being a practitioner yourself has helped you, or kind of shaped your thought or influence as a chief learning officer to build a curriculum that might include coaching?
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Coaching, when coaching wasn't so cool, I was into coaching, but partly, and it happened because I needed a coach. So back in early 2000s, I was like, I'm so out of balance. I need someone to help me manage my work in my life, and that was my first introduction to coaching, was being coached, and it was through that a number of the domino effect. And actually, my dissertation in my doctoral program was on coaching, and so that aspect, and then being a practitioner, being certified with the ICF for the last 12 years, it becomes a fiber of who you are. And that's what I love about learning. You learn, and suddenly you wake up and you think, wait, doesn't everybody think this way? Doesn't everybody know this? And it's not like, don't they know what I know? That's not what I'm saying. It's not a prideful thing at all. It's just more like suddenly you realize you're approaching life and complex situations and problems. You're navigating them with skills that you've picked up along the way from, let's hope, effective training and perhaps coaching. So how does that fit in? I would say, in fact, our research study we just did was on coaching and mentoring, and kind of teasing out the differences between both, how organizations are looking at those. So if you're interested in that, find that research report on hr.com. When we look at coaching and that coaching conversation, that style, I think it belongs in probably every course where there's some sort of a live facilitator. You could call them facilitator, instructor, moderator, call it what you want to call. It's someone who's providing some sort of guidance and support in the learning journey. And those conversations, we certainly urge and try to set up our facilitators to ask those open-ended questions, to listen deeply. You can't ask a great, powerful question if you're not listening intently. So, which comes first? I would say it's not the chicken or the egg. It's like, well, no, you really have to listen well to ask those questions, to gain rich dialogue. The other principle around coaching and how it fits in training, I believe, whether you're delivering face-to-face instructor-led training or you're developing training that's going to reside online, whether it's self-paced or whether it's in a group cohort model, is knowing and designing the training so that the rich connecting the dots that learners do, typically that happens between sessions. It doesn't happen when the instructor, the teacher shows up, then suddenly it's like, wow, you know what I should do? No, that's what happens when the people who consume your learning go for a run or they do whatever they do, and suddenly they're thinking, they're like, wait, that connects with this. And suddenly when you hear someone say, you know what I think I ought to do, it's like, what? Because that's going to be golden, because that's usually the result of powerful questions being asked in that coaching methodology that should find its way into effective course design.
Yeah, one of the things that excites me so much about the interest and application of coaching, it falls into that asking good questions. But we often treat training as a discrete event that's got a start and a stop. And if you're passive in that environment, there's not a lot of opportunity for you to practice and continue it. But having a coach, someone who is going to ask you open-ended questions, get your reflection, get you thinking about it long-term, is the type of advocate that you need to keep up with practice after the discrete event. And one of the things that I'm worried about in how organizations might be transforming or redelivering material is that they might be thinking about, we need more discrete events instead of really building a long-term journey. And I'm excited that there is more interest, and it's maybe really cool now.
Yeah. Well, it is. It certainly is. In fact, we're preparing to launch. We're partnering with another entity, and we're bringing forward the Shift Corporate Coach Program. And it's a designation with a WABC certification that folks can complete if they really want to become a coaching leader. How do you do that? It does take time. There is rigor involved, and there's no substitute for time. I mean, you might be able to cook a cup of tea in a microwave, which is faster than boiling it on the stove, but you can't do that in learning. And it requires time.
Time and effort, right?
Yes.
The student needs to put in some sweat equity into shaping and practicing, and it's not so much about just making it easy. And
right, and your point on the screen, fitting coaching into a curriculum, to me, it's, are we asking questions? Even if you have, for example, in an online setting, a discussion forum, boy, let's not ask questions that are so heady. I want to ask questions around how will you apply this? What's the greatest challenge you foresee in applying what we've just been talking about or what we've just learned? Well, boy, I can tell you, I'm going to want to, as a learner, I'm going to be much more inclined to share that because it's meaningful. It's helping me shape my thoughts and helping me refine my implementation plan or reflect and learn from what I implemented. But it also then makes me think, well, I want to know what Christopher said. I'm going to want to go read what he said so I can, so it fosters great dialogue and engagement. So again, coaching, that the mindset of coaching, I think is, it belongs in online learning.
So I'd like to get your thoughts on what does good look like. And so one of the things that we've all noticed, I'm sure, is that we need to go faster, and some shifts have happened. And so for those organizations that are thinking about transforming how they deliver instruction and think about skills development, they're probably under pressure and putting out a lot of fires. Yeah. But if another CLO was asking you for advice, where would you suggest that they put their focus today?
Well, I would say there's two primary questions that we're asked. The first would be, and I liken it to someone who says, I need a car. I want to buy a car. Because you'd think that's pretty easy. Or I want a course. I need an online course. If someone came and said, I want to buy a car, what would you say? Well, are you looking for a compact, midsize, or a luxury vehicle? Oh, you want midsize. Do you want cloth or leather seats? Do you need remote start? Do you need heated seats? Do you need electric windows? I mean, all of these features, it's similar to, I need a course. Okay, well, what do you need? A quick compact car style course? Or maybe you just need just a basic course. Well, even the range of criteria in that realm, when we think about online learning, it can really up the game of what is the learner experience going to be. So I think those are questions we have to be ready to have with someone who says, if your CEO says, we need a course, we've got to stop and say, what's your vision? Compact, midsize, luxury. And inside of that, what is that? What do you see? What do they think is good? I know many CEOs will say, I don't know anything about instructional design. That's why I hired you. But we'll be remiss if we don't help them think through, and just a simple analogy like I just shared, like, oh, no, I don't want a Cadillac, because they may know, the shelf life is short. We're not going to develop a Cadillac for something that's going to last 6 months, maybe even a year. But if there's longevity in this program, right now we're finishing work, partnering with the National Wellness Institute on a multicultural competency practitioner certificate. The name is something different than that for the actual course. But the point being, I would call that course, it's a Cadillac. Why? Because our organizations everywhere, clearly today, we know, are in desperate need for multicultural competency. So we put a great deal of design effort into this to make an enriched experience that can really help transform organizations. So that will be coming out here in the next month.
That's exciting.
Yeah, got excited about that. The other question I think that we've got to help when we think about what does good look like is when someone comes to you and says, how long is it, I want a new house. How long will it take to build me a new 2,000 square foot home? And the builder is thinking, do you have blueprints? Are they solid? Or are you going to change your mind 50 times? Oh, they're solid. Okay, that's good. And they're also thinking, do I have the right crew? Is my plumber booked? Can I get the right plumber for this job? Can I get the right electrician? What's the timing? Because boy, if one stalls out, or I don't get feedback from this guy, I'm going to lose this contractor and this sub, and the timeline escapes. The same is very similar inside of how long is it going to take to build this course? Once we determine, is it a Cadillac or compact car style, we have to come back and from our side, from the design side, as a CLO, I'm thinking, okay, I've got this team married to this project. Those instructional designers are going to roll off right about here. If all goes well, they can roll right on. And so you're constantly moving the shells, if you will, to make sure that things are going to roll along. I share all of that, Christopher, because when someone says, even the question, what does good look like? Those are factors. What's the quality that we're envisioning? The criteria of what good interactivity looks like. The more interactive it is, it's going to take more to build, but then also the timing. So I think those are important things to look at. When I look at what does good look like, we look historically at online training, and we still see a lot of it. We're seeing a lot more of it today than we did 4 months ago. And that would be talking head video with a quiz at the end. It's a course. Let's sell it. Let's make some money.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that a talking head, that the content isn't good. It may be stellar, but really a talking head with a quiz. So that's why I will come back to say that's not, in my opinion, that's not what good looks like. Good looks like if you've got someone that is great on camera and they are truly the subject matter expert and they stand apart and they have great meaning to share, we'll take that person and get them direct to camera and we'll weave it into an experience. So what does good look like? We have what we call the HR.com. It's the 4-pillar methodology of designing, for example, micro lessons. And then it fits right in, and it just is this iterative process inside of a larger course or certification build. And that would be looking at, let's just talk about a micro lesson, because right now I think people are producing what could range from a very simple build, being a video and some questions, or some such simplified micro teaching. But inside of a micro lesson, we'll start out in the first pillar of, okay, how do you connect? Like, help the person understand what's in it for them. Mm-hmm. Why should they care? Not because my CHRO made me take this class. If that's the only reason they're sitting in front of the computer to take an online course, then good luck. So yeah. We've got to make it relevant to them. And if it's not relevant, then why? Well, we'll push back. Why are you asking people to do this if it's not going to help them do their job better? So we're very focused on what does good look like. It should be focused on helping someone go do their job better, or equipping them or upskilling them for what's next on their career path. So understanding where they want to go and helping them get there. After we connect, then we're talking about engage, like 70% of the micro lesson. That's where the teaching is. but it's going to be, should be through something that's engaging, perhaps a scenario, perhaps a variety of media. Could be some talking head video clips here and there that drive home key concepts. And then the third pillar are strategies to go do their job better. Like if we've just had this content, we should have, and we should be able to extract 3 to 4 to 5, 6, maybe 7 strategies that would be fitting and appropriate to move anyone forward in that topic area, whatever it is we're talking about. But allowing the learner as an adult learner to have some choice and say, oh gosh, this is one. I'm going to identify this is the one that I think if I do this, it's going to help me in this area. It's going to help me do my job better. So we're really focused on presenting strategies, helping someone identify which one resonates most with them. They know where they work. Like you said, they could be someone of a large organization or a one-stop shop, one-person shop. Then the last piece is implementation, helping them get that strategy into something that's implementable, that I could actually go put on my calendar and go do and evaluate. How did I do it, and what came of it? So that methodology, when we look at that inside of a micro lesson, to me that looks really good. And the look part can be anything. It could be a themed journey on a train. It could be a themed who knows what. So when I think about what does good look like, good should be fostering creativity for the learner, fostering curiosity to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just head knowledge. I'll come back every day and say, and I love learning. I'm an academic by nature. I mean, that's like in history. But I'll come back and say, it doesn't matter what we know if it doesn't help us do our job better. So who cares what you pack in your head? And if you can regurgitate in a quiz what you just saw, like,
yeah, I think
no one's looking at that.
I think student preferences, at least I've noticed my own preferences, over the last few months have changed pretty drastically. And, the concept, the concept of a micro lesson, something that I can do in a non-scheduled block of time. We a lot of people, I think, used to think of training as a scheduled event that had a beginning and a stop date. I don't have that much luxury anymore because there's also all sorts of meetings that are scheduled. They kind of book up and pile up, and the rest of life needs to somehow fit in the in between. And so I find myself being far more attracted to things that I know are going to have an impact, but are also something that I can do that doesn't depend on my changing schedule. And so my preference is to really kind of reach out and find things that are on the edges of what might be useful. That preference has started to drop away, and I am narrowing my focus on only things that are going to be pretty useful pretty quick. And just experiencing that, the connection to give me a strategy and help me schedule that next first step sounds so appealing, because if I'm interested and I'm intrigued and I've got a little bit of experience with it, I don't want to have to wait to try it.
Yes.
And if I have to schedule something long in the future, or it's something that I might get a chance to try, but I don't quite know when based on my current constraints, it becomes less interesting to me. And I have my change in preferences is going to shift my focus to something else.
Well, and I think that you're not alone. I mean, you're representing humanity right now in that statement. I really believe. I think we're going to see a shift. My trending foresight is within 6 months. Now, this is if coronavirus really does whittle down and wind down. I think the appetite of people in general, when it comes to learning, will become pickier. Will not tolerate talking head videos with quizzes at the end, because it doesn't matter, and they can go find what they need. To your point, people want to search, find what they need, watch what they are looking for, and go do whatever it is that they need to. And I think when we think about what does good look like, think about the last time you heard someone who attended a workshop or a conference or an online class, and you said, "Hey, how was it?" It was good.
Right.
But if someone said, "Yeah, no, it was really good," tell me what was really good about it. Most of the time, if we've designed it well, people really can't put their finger on one thing, because there are so many under the hood, behind the scenes strategies as we're building this journey for the learner through this content, that they may not understand. What, gosh, I'm not really, because it's been so subtly put together. But most of the time, when they come out of a training where they are leaving with an action plan that's ready to drop on their calendar, that's what you'll hear. I left, but I didn't just learn stuff and get this pile of notes. No, I left with a strategy I'm actually implementing. I'm actually doing something from that. It's like, okay, that's a pretty cool result. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah. So a couple of things just to close up here today. The Inspire conference. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening at the end of June?
Yeah, at the end of June, June 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. So 4 days, Monday through Thursday. We have the first ever, the largest HR online conference. We'll have about 30,000 attendees. Day one features training. And so it's a day-long series of workshops, and it's an event. So we'll have, just like you'd go into a trade show, everyone will be there. If you want to go and stop by booth, hey, Allen Interactions will be there, and we'll have a booth. And you could go by there and learn about a couple of the courses that we're in partnership and development. Do you want to just talk about, we've got two that you'll be highlighting?
Yeah. So HR.com, I think, is, as we talked about at the beginning, kind of a rich place with lots of interesting data and resources. And one of the things that we got talking about was how do we help transform the organization in a way that is going to have lasting change. So we've been working on a program that includes a bunch of different skills to help make that become a reality, to become an effective and agile learning organization. And so the first two courses that we're launching together, the first one is on the successive approximation model, and that course is entitled Becoming an Effective and Agile Learning Organization. So for folks who feel like they're constantly under the gun to put out a fire, build a course fast, the types of processes that are effective in not only achieving sustainable pace in building things that gets you out of that always putting out fires mode, but also has a real serious eye towards building the best and most effective learning product possible. And those two things really can live in concert. But some of the pain points that you were alluding to before about what does good look like all comes around, how do you manage subject matter expert time? And, if you've only got a short period of time, you might feel pressured to do just talking heads and a quiz at the end. But if you've got a better process, or one that works more effectively for your team, you have a chance to explore other ideas that might be a better instructional approach in a short period of time and do it fast and get to something that everybody really can believe in. And then the second course that we're announcing is entitled Leading Performance Change with Effective Learning Ecosystems. So how we invite a student in is really important. And one of the other things that you were talking about is, what's in it for me? Well, the whole system, and how digital learning and finding the materials and connecting it to what my job is going to be, how I'm going to be measured, the effectiveness of, all the things that we're doing from instruction to fostering performance and supporting it back on the job need to be cohesive. And this course is really about how do you set that up? How do you communicate the changes in value that you're looking for? Really with an eye towards getting students to believe that these sets of systems, the people who are engaged, are looking out for me. And this event is the next set of things for me is going to empower me to have the career that I want, perform at the level that I'm hoping to, and move on as an individual. And we're not forcing things on you, but we're hoping that you're becoming more engaged and pulling into this material in a way that you believe and you're willing to put the effort in to change.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at some of the comments. There's one from Dr. Brandy Maynard saying time is a luxury. And it is. And I think these are the learning that you just described. We don't have the luxury to not take time and learn everything you just talked about, because just a call to action is to be that continual learner. And it could be a formal course or 2 or 3 or 4, like you just described, that we have coming up. It could also be, hunting for great micro lessons. And I know at HR.com, we're revving up our engines on adding micro lessons that matter, that are relevant, timely, and needed. And in fact, on the 22nd, on that Monday of Inspire, I'll be doing a workshop. It's titled, it's not rocket science, just 4 simple pillars to develop engaging, personalized micro lessons. So that on that Monday, the 22nd, is something that, again, I feel there's a need to share. Here's not just here's what good looks like, but here's how you do it. Here are the principles behind it, regardless of what tools you use. And I think that we can help our world, quite honestly, by it's not just an instructional designer who needs to understand these things, but learners at large, and that everyone in an organization. So I'm excited about what you and I have cooking together.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining me this morning. As you can tell, I'm excited about the things that are to come from HR.com, and I really appreciate how focused your organization is on helping people become better. And it's a mission, I think, that is needed today, and probably more needed this fall, when people have an opportunity to make some hard choices about what they're going to invest in and how they're going to make their plans future-proofed. So,
yes. Well,
right?
Online learning is not going away, clearly.
Right.
And so let's partner together. Let's partner across the world to develop great online learning experiences to help people do their jobs better and impact lives. So that's really our mantra at HR.com is equipping HR professionals to impact workforces across the world.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Heidi. And I will talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.